today with the diagrams you've just shown. I've never seen before.
You gave a hard copy piece of paper with computer code on it, correct?
Could you say that again, please?
You provided in Discovery a hard copy piece of paper with computer code on it, right? Not a program.
What I provided you with were the simulations that Dr. Mellon Ornalis generated, along with references and some code that to me is Greek, because I'm not a computer programmer, I'm not a pharmacokineticist, and to me it looked like a foreign language.
In this same article on page 438, and I'm referring down here, Dr. White, it states, it is possible that the estimated value for the urinary excretion of propofol based on undefined cyclohexane extractable radioactivity is an overestimate. So they're stating that the 0.3% is possibly an overestimate. Were you aware of that?
I was aware that it could be an overestimate, could be an underestimate. There's tremendous variability, and the fact of the matter is, even if these small differences that you're pointing out would not explain the massive difference that is determined based on a 3-hour infusion of 1,000 milligrams and 2 25-milligram doses.
Were you aware that the authors of this article indicated in the article itself that the number you're relying upon could be an overestimate? Were you aware of that?
I thought I stated earlier that I had not had time to critically review this article. I looked at it very quickly when Dr. Ornalis told me that it was going to be used in the simulations. All I did was ask her to look at papers dealing with urinary excretion of free propofol, because that was the number provided by the coroner in the urine at the time of autopsy, and it was my impression that the fact that urine concentration was only minimally higher than the urine concentration at 7 a.m. that was collected at 7 a.m. suggested to me it was highly unlikely and improbable that Mr. Jackson received...
Non-responsive motion to strike.
The objection sustained. The last answer stricken.
Thank you. Were you aware that the authors of the article, in the very article itself, indicated that the estimate of 0.3% could be an overestimate?
No.
Thank you. I have another article, Your Honor, published in 1991 with the same author, P.J. Simons. May this be marked Peoples 246 for identification?
Yes.
Did you look at this article, Dr. White, to make sure you were presenting accurate data to the jury? This 1991 entitled Species Differences in Blood Profiles, Metabolism, and Excretion of C. Propofol After Intravenous Dosing to Rat, Dog, and Rabbit, with the same author just a couple years later. Did you look at that article?
I did not. It had nothing to do with humans from what I can see, and I thought an article on humans might be more relevant to this case.
So, I'm sorry, did you find this article and you rejected it? You didn't want to read it, or did you not? You were not aware of it?
I did not have sufficient time, as I told you.
Did you know of this article?
I don't think it was an article I found in the very fast search that I did.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with animals. It was that you didn't have time to research it.
We asked the question. You said animals, you meant humans?
No, previous answer indicated it involved animals, so he didn't rely upon it.
I know. Your question said it had nothing to do with animals. I think
Okay.
that's what you said.
It wasn't that you rejected this article because it involved an animal study. You simply never found this article. Is that accurate?
Well, I didn't review that article, and I reviewed papers that dealt with human elimination of propofol and propofol metabolites in the urine, because there are great species differences, and animal models looking at metabolism are known to be very unreliable for making predictions as to what happens in humans.
And you were critical of Dr. Schaefer's Chilean study on humans, yet you chose to do a study on beagles as it related to oral propofol, correct?
That's incorrect. The reason I was critical of Dr. Schaefer's study was I felt it was unnecessary if it was so obvious, and his study actually confirmed the study that we had done in beagles. I think it's not inappropriate.
I'd like to direct your attention to page 1250 of this article by Simons, published 3 years after the one upon which you've relied. Dr. White, do you see here where the same author states, no unchanged compound was detected in the urine after bolus or infusion doses of C-propofol, and only traces were detected in bile. Do you see that? No unchanged compound was detected in the urine in this publication just 3 years later?
I do, and I see later on that they're referring to urine from rat, dog, and rabbit, not human.
Right, but you never even found this article, right?
Well, Your Honor, I can object to this comparing dogs and humans.
What's the objection?
First of all, before he should be asked to comment on it, he should be allowed to read it.
The witness is not referring on the article. The objection is sustained.
Is there a reason you did not consider this study in presenting your opinion and your testimony to the jury last week?
I will traditionally rely on human studies over animal studies to answer a specific question that relates to metabolism of drugs, because I think it's quite clear that the metabolic pathways in animals differ among different species and are not reliable in terms of making predictions in humans.
So is it your testimony that you researched this subject, you found this article, and you rejected it because it involved animals? Is that your testimony?
Misstates his testimony.
I'm trying to...
Sustained.
Did you find this article and consider it
That question
before
is asked and
testifying?
answered. He did not rely upon
Just a
it.
moment, please. Don't argue. The objection is sustained. Next up.
Going to have an article published in 1999.
I'm going to
May I have
object
this?
to reference to any further articles the doctor hasn't read. He should be...
The objection is sustained. I'm not going to mark it. You can ask and inquire under 802 at SEC.
Dr. White, in this article published in 1999,
You don't have to post it. You can ask the witness if the witness is familiar with it as a precondition. Thank you.
in your research prior to testifying, did you familiarize yourself with this article in which they found no free propofol in the urine whatsoever?
I don't have any idea what article you're referring to. You're holding up an article that I can't read from here.
Can I post it, Your Honor?
No, you can ask the witness if the witness is familiar with a particular article, and you can identify it, and we go to the next step.
Are you familiar with the 1999 article entitled Direct High Performance Liquid Chromatography Determination of Propofol and its metabolite quinol with their glucuronide conjugates and preliminary pharmacokinetics in plasma and urine of man?
No, sir, I'm not.
Would it surprise you to learn that they found no free propofol in the urine?
Objection to irrelevant whether it's...
The objection is sustained under 350, 352, 803 of SEC.
Now, did you, in your research, did you search for articles that referenced the very article you relied upon by Simons from 1988 to see if that was still good science?
Sir, I did not research this topic. I merely asked a question, which was, would the amount of free propofol eliminated after a 1,000 milligram 3-hour infusion match the concentration found in the urine at autopsy? And the answer was that it would be significantly higher.
They answered based on one outdated, isolated article, correct?
No.
Okay, then let me ask you about this article from 2002. It's entitled, and I think you may have referenced this article, "The Investigation of Propofol Renal Elimination by HPLC Using Supported Liquid Membrane Procedure for Sample Preparation." Was that the renal study that you referenced earlier?
No, it was not.
Would it surprise you to learn that in this article they found much smaller?
Just a moment, please. The objection is sustained. 802, 803, 805.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Mr. Alderman, thank you. Redirect examination by the defense. Mr. Flanagan? Thank you.
Doctor, you talked earlier this morning, you talked about a 911 call and 911 not being called for 20 minutes. You recall the nature of that testimony?
Yes, I do, sir.
Now, I want you to assume hypothetically, in the event that you came in and saw a patient not breathing, eyes open, mouth open, what would you do? Doctor, when you were asked questions about calling 911, I want you to assume these facts, that we're on the upper floor of a large house, over 10,000 square feet, that the entire perimeter of the house is fenced. There is a gate that you cannot get into unless security allows you to get into or opens the gate for you. That the security trailer is about the distance from me to you from the kitchen entrance of the house, that there is a person in the kitchen that would have to go from the distance from you to this corner door to get security.
Okay, and for the record, the distance from Mr. Flanagan to the witness is perhaps 15 feet. The distance diagonally to the back of the courtroom is approximately 50 feet.
With that in mind, in the event that you were in an emergency situation that you felt required your immediate attention, would you be confident in asking a person to go that distance and get security to make for arrangements to get ambulance or similar type help?
Objection. Improper hypothetical assumes facts not in evidence.
I'll overrule the objection. The jurors will decide whether a hypothetical is complete or not in that sense. You may answer.
Your Honor, can I ask a couple clarifications?
It may not be complete then. So I'll sustain the objection. You're going to have to refine the question.
What